Hello, hockey fans. How is everybody doing on this fine Thursday morning? Welcome to the third episode of the only and best hockey podcast west of the equator. My name is Jaws. My friends call me Fluffy. I forgot my real name. This is my partner in crime, Paul, Captain Paul. We got to get that
Captain
respect on
Paul.
that name
That's right. I,
from the
I
locker
expect a
room.
sir. I expect a sir sandwich every time we talk.
So,
Sir, this is what I think, sir.
Sir Captain Paul, thank you very much for Brad Marchand.
You're welcome. I just need you guys to win four more games, so at least it's a first round pick. All right.
We
We can be
got you.
friends now. We can be friends.
Oh man.
How
So
about that game, man? How about that game last night?
I look, I was nervous. I was anxiously nervous right before the game. I mean, like quite
Mm,
literally, like some I don't even right before the game,
mm.
massive headache, massive migraine. You know the one where you're totally fine and then the light switch hits and you're like your eyes are on
Oh,
fire. Just
yeah.
happened. And so I walk into the room and Kyle's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." and and then by the end of the first period it's 2-2 and I'm like, oh, I see how this is going to go. It's going to be one of those games where the Panthers just didn't have any defense, and Vasilevsky didn't
Yeah.
look good yesterday either. But I don't want to say this to I'm not trying to troll Toronto or Toronto fans. However, that's how it's done. When you have an opportunity to close out a series, what Florida did last night, that's how you win. However, you need to win, whether it's 1-0 or eight
I
to
agree.
seven. You just keep the pressure on the whole game and pull it off.
It it's just like the Capitals last night against the Canadiens, right? They could have kept them floating around. Both
Yep.
Florida and Washington eliminate their opponents, and it was a good. I thought I ended up watching. I had to watch one of the games this morning on replay, but the Jets game. The Jets game I
Yeah.
had to watch on replay, but. Yeah, I mean, dude, it was a really good games on last night. I think with Florida now, how shall I say this? I think the next round's going to be a little bit. I don't know. I don't want to say easier because they did win in 5 games, but
Right.
I think the matchup's going to be more favorable for Florida in the next round.
Yeah. And look, our biggest concern for Panthers this year is going in, is the playoffs is how much energy are we going to have?
Mm,
And so we get a full week off before Tampa, and now we're going to get close to another full week off before the next series.
mm-hmm.
So we came out of this series healthy. I talked about it in recap last night. Nobody even had to go to the locker room and then come back at all for the Panthers the whole series.
Mm.
It was just the one Barkov thing, and he missed the rest of the game, and that was it. So we're coming out healthy, and you got the Ekblad suspension for the one game, but we're totally fine there. And just everybody is pulling weight. There's no passengers. Bob is still Bob, and yeah, could some of these other teams still, can they win some games? Yeah, but this
Mm.
to me, Florida doesn't look like a team that's going to be rather easy to eliminate. You got to win four,
Yeah.
and right now I'm feeling pretty good about that.
I think I do want to ask you, what did you think about the Ekblad suspension? And it's funny, right? He had that massive suspension for the PED. He was
Right.
suspended for the first 2 games, and then he gets another suspension. I mean, that man can't stay on the ice. He
I
needs to
know.
stop taking suspensions. Like, hey, listen, we need you there. Like, at least wait until next season for the next one. What did
So
you think about that one?
so man, it irritates the hell out of me in the sense that I like consistency. And I think we can
Mm-hmm.
all agree the NHL player safety department, there's no rhyme or reason to who's getting what and how many. You look at the Draisaitl hit on Barkov last year, he gets nothing. I mean, they're literally mirror images of each other, and Ekblad gets two. Now, I kind of figured Ekblad was going to get one, but I thought Mikula was going to get one. And
Oh yeah.
in my conspiratorial mind, they got together with the Panthers and they said you can either have Ekblad and Mikula each be gone for a game, or Ekblad gone for 2 games. I don't think that's the way it happened, but it sounds nice. Um, I mean, it was premeditated, and Hagel got hurt, right?
Right.
So you kind of have to give him a game. I was surprised by the two, honestly, but Ekblad is kind of an enigma within the Panthers. It's like we need him, but then when he's not there, we're fine for the most part.
Him and Seth Jones are very similar in some
Yeah,
senses.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's very funny in that way. I would say this. I have an unpopular opinion probably regarding suspensions in the playoffs. Unless you murder a man in cold blood, like I don't want to see a suspension. Like I thought
Right,
the Hagel suspension was dumb. I thought the Ekblad suspension was dumb. Like I personally, I want them to hate each other, and unless it gets to an egregious where they're just taking off their skate blades and trying to stab each other. Like I want physical hockey in the
yeah,
playoffs, and I want that animosity. And it's different because growing up, I remember Scott Stevens
oh,
knocking Paul Correa's head off into the next zip code, and so
yeah,
I do get a little bit. It's weird that it's the player safety's inconsistent, and then I feel like at times
right,
we're a little too soft now. Just like
yeah,
let the boys play.
yeah. I didn't think the Hagel. I didn't think he was going to get suspended. I
Yeah,
would have
I
been
didn't either.
I would have been fine with him not getting suspended just because, I didn't want to hear Tampa fans complain that we only beat him because Hagel was out.
Yeah.
I'd rather just have everybody on the ice. And same thing with like the Drysdale hit on Barkov last year. I wasn't like don't suspend him. I just especially if you give him 5 in a game. You know what I mean? If you're giving
Yeah.
him, if he's out for the rest of the game, which might have been why Mikula didn't get suspended because he was out for the rest of the game. So
Yeah.
no, I mean that's serious. That was why I didn't want to play Tampa, was because I knew you're going to have hits like that, and we came out okay. But sometimes you won't.
Yeah.
In the game that Kyle and I went to with Florida and Tampa earlier this year, Cooch got Chucky knee on knee, and it didn't look good. He came
Mm.
back, but that still dinged him for a while. So I'm happy we won. I'm happy we don't have to play Tampa the rest of this year. We get some time off before whoever we're going to play. And now I'm a big Ottawa Senators fan tonight. I don't know about Game 7, but tonight I am a big Game 7 fan. I'm not even going to lie.
I it's I'll say this, by the way. I think it's good for the Panthers to wrap up that series because it gives Kachuk some more off time.
Yeah,
And because obviously he looked good. He's looked good, but I think
yeah,
for the most part, but it's good to give him a little bit more rest. But I will say, kind of talking on that Senators Maple Leaf series, they're up.
yeah,
What was
yeah,
it
yeah.
3-0 in that series? They're like
Yep.
slowly slipping away. Slowly, Leafs fans are getting off on the ledge, and it just I if they lose Game 6, I just don't know if this core will be able to nut up
I don't know.
and
Look,
and prevent the reverse sweep.
I left a comment on Dangle's video because he's talking about Nylander kind of playing soft and Marner playing soft and the guys playing soft.
Mm-hmm.
And after Florida, we won the President's Trophy, and then we lost. We got swept by Tampa second round.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, in that final game recap, what I got to was like, man, I don't think Huberto and Barkov are the two guys that are going to get us there,
Mm-hmm.
because Huberto just did not have that killer
That
instinct. He just didn't have that dog in him. He just
didn't have
didn't.
that dog.
Right. He was a great player and made great, but he just didn't have that dog in him.
Yeah.
And rest is history, right? We get lucky.
Mm.
Kachuk's like, I think I want to come to Florida. We make it happen. And Panthers, what we did is not repeatable unless you get lucky. You can't. There's not unicorns on the street that just change the entire culture of your team
Or
overnight. You know what
unless
I
you have
mean?
Zito. Unless you have
Right.
Zito.
Unless you have Zito, yeah, and sunshine and no taxes and
Yeah.
beaches and all of that. But that's what it reminds me of when I'm watching Dangle talk about it, and just watching how the Leafs are reacting and everything. It's just like they've got good players, and I see what they tried to do. They tried, they got Stolars, they got OEL, they've got guys that have been there before and won, Lorenz, right?
Yeah.
But it all centers around your top dogs, right? It all centers around your big players. And man, they're holding those sticks so tight.
Dude, I think the
So
pressure's too
tight.
much. I think the pressure's too much. I think it's getting to them in that city because we've seen the conversations for years at this point. Whether it was the Bruins before, then the Panthers were their kryptonite, where you have these prolific regular seasons, and I think when they get into these moments, into these big games, like oh yeah, we can kind of finish them off, they hold the stick a little bit too tight. They think just that extra second, hold on that puck a little bit too long. Don't make the smart passes, and just transition wise, sometimes they fall apart even defensively.
Yeah.
To
Yeah. It
to,
was,
to me, go ahead, sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
To me, when it comes to Toronto, it's all mental because they do have talent on that roster. I think
Mhm.
they improved the back end, right? They brought in Carlo. They brought in Tanev this past season. They have a great offense. I mean, they have one of the best. I think you could arguably say like a top two, top six in the league, like talent wise. But
Right.
just
Right.
for some reason, in these moments, it just becomes too big for these guys, and it does make me wonder with a guy like Marner with his contract expiring, if they if they fail again, like is
Oh
there going to be
yeah.
a major is there going to be a major shakeup just beyond Marner? Like if Marner just walks, like do they think like you know is it worth kicking the can with the same core that can't get it done? You know what I mean?
Oh, I know. I know exactly what you mean. I mean, that's the exact decision Zito had to make. You know what I mean? I mean, you don't just wake up and decide to trade Huberto and Uyghur. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
and of course now Toronto wouldn't be. Well, they had a deal. Toronto had a deal.
Mm.
Remember for Rantanen and Marner, they had a deal, so they were willing to move him, but
Yeah.
Marner nixed it. So sometimes teams are just good, but they just don't have all the pieces that they need. And I'll say it again: you can add guys, but if the general core just doesn't have it's just never going to happen for them. And
Yeah.
I mean, Stolarz. I mean, they've got the goalie. It's not the goalie's problem anymore. But what I saw the other night against Ottawa was just I'm watching that game and I'm saying Toronto's playing like they're projecting a 2-0 lead in the game.
Yeah, I know. They
And
play so tight.
yeah, and you're just like, what are you doing? I'm watching them back off to not try to, if there's a loose puck, instead of being aggressive and go and get it, they're just kind of backing off. Like they're more worried about not allowing goals than scoring a goal, but they're behind in the game.
Yeah.
And now, does that attitude change if it gets to a point where they're 3-3, where they could get eliminated too? I don't know. I looked at that series and it's 3-0. Ottawa gets one. It's like, all right, we'll come back to Toronto. We'll finish it off. And then no goals, no nothing.
Yeah.
So now the Senators have life. You know,
Yeah.
now
I
they've got
mean,
life.
yeah. Well, it's funny, right? Because Olmark, the conversation, especially in the first three games, it continued that trend of Olmark not being statistically right.
Yeah.
I mean, not all of it was on him. Some of it was like really bad defensive breakdowns, but statistically, it kept that trend of sub 900 save percentage games. But I mean, it seems like he's starting to kind of pick it up, right?
Yeah.
Team's playing a little bit better in front of him, and Omar gets hot. Senators start believe because that's the thing, right? They're down 3-0, they win one. Now they win the game 5 to make it a 3-2
Right.
series. They have belief in that room.
Right.
It's weird. It's the Leafs have one win to just get, and I feel like they're far more stressed out than the Senators who have two more.
Sure.
You
Sure.
know?
Yeah, because Ottawa, what the nobody. I mean, I was going to say nobody expected them to be here, but I actually did in my season preview, pick them at the 8 seed. So I'm not that surprised.
Yeah.
But they're playing with house money. They don't have the roster to go all the way. You know what I mean? They just don't have the
No.
back end and all of that. But they can be a massive pain in the ass. And what I found interesting about Ottawa in that
Mm.
fifth game, as the series has gone on, is they've
Hmm.
gotten less and less stupid. Like the first
Yeah.
couple of
Yes.
games, they were just if they could have had a baseball bat, they would have all communicate and they were just hit this guy, hit this guy. Where's the puck? I don't know, but I laid a hit. Does that count? And
Yeah.
and as the series has gone on, because Toronto has refused to really bury them and
Hmm.
really make them pay for that. Now they're kind of getting smarter and just getting into play in their game. And I said this last night in my recap. I kind of feel bad for Dangle in a sense because, um, like this is my ninth season, right? And so like
Mm.
I got a Stanley Cup appearance in year 7 and a championship in year 8, and I think he's on year 17 or 18,
Hmm.
and one playoff round.
Yeah.
I mean, just
I
like
mean,
I mean,
brutal,
bro,
brutal. I
you
mean,
know,
it's gonna be a very interesting game six. Like they're gonna be, it's either gonna go one or two ways. It's gonna be close, right, or it's gonna be like some blowout. I mean, that's kind of easy to put it that way. But I think I should say this. I could see the Maple Leafs blowing out the Senators in this game,
right?
or like losing a tight game. That's how I'll kind of word it,
Yeah,
because it's just yeah, it mystifies me that it's even going to six right now. Like I get it, like Ottawa wins one, gentleman sweep, winning five, and
yeah,
they're a pesty team. But like you said, they're not even a perfect team. Like defensively, they have their issues, and it just seems like Toronto hasn't taken advantage of that. You
yep,
know?
yep. And look, the other team that's going to be a massive pain in the ass. We don't want to leave out of that are the Montreal Canadiens. When
Yeah.
when when they get when they get things completed, they're going to be a massive pain in the ass.
Yeah, I've been I've been big on the Canadians for the last couple of years because I've kind of gone through the prospect pool, like who they drafted. I think Demidov when he hits his prime is going to be like a star level player. I
Right.
mean, the Capitals won last night 4-1,
Yeah.
and but that series was interesting, right? Like they won in five, but like there was some close games, and
Yeah.
Montembeau he played well until he got hurt, and I do have to say if I'm a Capitals fan, I'm a little bit worried going into the next round
Yeah.
because that was a team in Montreal. Not to knock them, they have a lot of promise, like a very good future ahead of them. They have a lot of holes on that roster that
Yeah.
they don't have a good second line center. They defensively right now, just because there's a lot of youth, there's a lot of dumb mistakes. If I'm being honest with you,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and the Capitals just kind of kept them around. I know that's a weird thing to say. They won in five, but if I'm a Caps fan, I'm like thinking, yeah, maybe the postseason is just a little different than the regular season. You
Yeah,
know?
it kind of reminds me when Florida won the President's Trophy and we all expected that's it, we're going to win the cup, and then we just squeaked by Washington. Washington didn't just squeak by, but when we won that series, we were kind of like we won the series, but
Yeah.
something don't that wasn't as easy as we thought it was going to be, and then of course we got swept by Tampa. Washington, they needed to get off the mat. They hadn't won a playoff series since they won the cup, right? So
Yeah, it's
um,
been a while.
it's
It's
been a
been a
while.
long time.
So there was some pressure there that they needed to release, and I would suppose that um, whoever Florida plays, I would suppose that Capitals fans would be fans of anybody but Florida, because
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I think Washington would be a favorite against Toronto or Ottawa, but if it gets to Florida and Washington, I mean that could be the 7 game series. That could definitely be uh, uh, an old fashioned brawl because Tom Wilson, that son of a bitch.
Well, he's a tough. He's a tough customer. I mean, and he had a career year this year.
Yeah,
So, I mean, the guy's a power forward in the traditional sense, and the Capitals do have a pretty good depth up and down the lineup. I mean, their next matchup is going to be the Carolina Hurricanes, which because it's been a bit since I've been working a lot and things of that nature. I mean, that was also we called that I called that the mid series, the boring series.
Right.
There was some good hockey. It was actually some entertaining. It wasn't like the snooze fest I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, we watched it in spaces because we're streaming some of the other games. New Jersey just didn't have what they needed to keep up with Carolina, and Carolina. I think I looked at it. I mean, it's been an absurd number of times. I think they almost always get out of the first round.
Yeah.
Right. They very rarely lose in the first round. They've got that experience, and they've got a good team. It's just everybody's just kind of like, and Carolina, you know what I mean? They kind of put them over here. But I guess Vegas, not the Knights, but I guess they've got right now the best odds to win the cup at the Canes.
No, I don't.
I really find that interesting. I'm like, where's that coming from?
So this is why I don't believe that, right? I'll talk about the matchup. I'll say this about the Devils. They missed Hughes. Yeah. It was kind of a glass cannon. Let's be honest. He's always hurt, it seems like.
Yeah.
But they missed Jack Hughes. But I'll say this, Markstrom for the Devils was great in this series. Yeah. That was a question mark I had coming in. Both goalies, Anderson or Markstrom, didn't have great regular seasons, but Markstrom played fantastic in this playoff. He had 50-plus something saves, I think, in that double overtime where they eventually lost. But which the Devils choked away. They were up 3-0 in that game, and
right. Yeah.
But just pure Devils magic there. But the Canes, I just when you beat the New York Islanders to get out of the first round, I'm not impressed because that team's just that's the Islanders. They're destined to lose in the first round if they make the playoffs.
Right.
With the Carolina Hurricanes, I'm being a little sarcastic, but with the Carolina Hurricanes, it's just I don't know if they have enough offensively.
Yeah, and that's always the issue is if they face a team that can match their style, but you look at Florida. Our third line is Lundell, Luostarinen, and Marchand. And if you can.
I did call that though when that trade happened though. He'd be a great third liner for you.
Yep. You did, and it's just worked out perfect. The point there is just you got to have a full complement of lines, and then Anderson's always hurt for Carolina.
Yeah.
The dude is just, he's great when he's healthy, but just every 5 minutes, he's out. So, one of those two teams making it to Eastern Conference Finals, right? So, it's just the way the math is going to roll out. And now, over in the West, are the Kings really going to do this? Are the Kings?
They disgust me. That whole franchise disgusts me. They have a better depth up front on defense, the better goaltender, but somehow they just can't beat the. It's like they're the Bills. They're the Bills. They're the Bills, and then and the Oilers are the Chiefs. It's I don't understand it because Stuart Skinner is a sieve. Calvin Pickard has played, okay. They don't have a goaltender at Edmonton.
I know.
And they're winning this series. They somehow came back to make it 3-2. It's what? Oh, my God.
Well, and if it gets to Game 7, Edmonton has experience in Game 7s now that they might be able to pull from and do better, right? So, I thought, your sentiments exactly, and because that's what the when I have my noon streams, the morning after Edmonton won that last game, that was the general consensus is you disgust me, LA. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And then now Winnipeg, they might do it.
It was looking dangerous there for a second. It was looking a little shady, when the Blues blew them out. I think it was that Game 4.
Yeah.
I'm
go ahead.
No, no, I was like, yeah, no, they blew them out like 2 games in a row in game 3 and game 4. I was like, oh man, might have
Yeah,
a
no,
wild ride there.
it is bad. And that's another team that's they won the last game, but they start holding those sticks really tight.
They do.
That's 2 series between with the Kings and Winnipeg, with a lot of monkeys on backs in those 2 series.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
and Hellebuck, right?
yeah.
Hellebuck got it. He's another guy that's kind of has to prove that he can be more than just a regular season. It's
Goal.
like
Yeah.
every year, all year, he's playing amazing, but playoffs are a different animal,
Yeah.
you know, and that's where, not to take it back to Florida again, but that's where you got a team like, when Vasilevsky was in his prime, Bobrovsky now, it's like it's a it's a whole different animal when the guys on the ice know that your goalie's going to make that save.
Yeah, it
You
is.
know, and it allows you to play a little bit looser. You're not so concerned if a goal does go in. You have the confidence. Yeah, it's not going to be 2 and 3 and 4 that follow
Right.
up for the most part. And and then of course Minnesota and Vegas.
Yep.
Um, it's we could if some of these series they turn a little bit. I felt bad for Minnesota the other night. I don't know if you were able to see it,
I did
but
see, yeah.
yeah, oh my God, Kyle and I were streaming that, and I mean by a paperclip, the dude's offsides,
Yeah.
you know, and there's been a lot of chatter in my streams about maybe I don't think they'd ever do this. But most, like my dad, my brother, were like, wait a minute. But puck changed possession in the zone. They thought that automatically would mean that the offsides was
Negated.
negated. But
Yeah.
because it's a missed stoppage of play, everything reverts back to that. And I just wonder if they'll ever get to the point where they change that to if possession changes, but then define possession,
Yeah, like
right?
they're gonna probably have to put it on like a timer. Like if you have possession of the puck for 5+ seconds or something of that nature.
Right. Or
Like
yeah,
it,
or if like 5 seconds. Yeah. I mean, it'd be such a judgment thing. It'd probably be really, really difficult because first you got to determine if it was offsides, but if possession, I mean, that could be um, a total mess. But it's just with the technology now, it's like we're going to get to micro millions of a millimeter where they can tell, and it's just, but you have to draw the line somewhere,
yeah, it's a
right?
yeah, it's a little excessive, I think, at times. Like I will say, like regular season wise, like how many replays happened with the offside. I'm like, and it's like millimeters, like you said. It's like okay, like in the spirit of the rule, he's onside or you know what I mean. It's just
Right.
I
Right.
think we're
Right.
trying to get like a little bit too caught up in the technical side of things. I'm like, I get it. Everybody wants to have that advantage. Like, I can see the white. I get that's offside. I can see the white
Right.
between the blade and the blue. I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And um, but then could you make it non-reviewable? I mean, the
Yeah,
goal that Florida scored the other night in their comeback against Tampa that got wiped off. I mean, that was two guys who were offsides, and they were offsides by almost a foot. It's like, how in the hell did the ref even miss that? So I get what they're doing there. I just felt bad for Minnesota, man, because it's just like then Vegas ends up winning it, and Minnesota, they were making some noise, but now you kind of have a feeling like Vegas' experience might fix that up. I mean, we were in the middle of the week. We were looking at we might have both wild cards move forward, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think the Minnesota Vegas series has been interesting. I was completely wrong on my prediction. I'm like, oh, Vegas in 5. It's not going to be a interesting
yeah,
series. I was completely wrong on that. It's been really good hockey, honestly. I've really enjoyed like Minnesota's fought, and I wouldn't be surprised if they that still goes 7, right? Because it's 3-2 right now. I wouldn't be surprised if it
yeah,
goes to 7. It's I just think Vegas has a little bit better talent up front and a little bit more depth. I think Vegas is just has that experience to pull from, even though it's been, 2 years at this point. They have
Yeah.
guys that have been there and done that,
Yeah.
been there in those high stress situations and know how it feels. Where in comparison with Minnesota, really not as much. So
No.
it's going to be one of those situations where maybe the young and dumb could kind of like turn things around. But I mean, I will say it's been friggin' great playoff hockey.
It's really been good. The rough stuff has kind of gotten, you know, just don't go to Twitter. Just don't go to Twitter and look at what Panthers and Lightning fans were saying back and forth to one another, and your faith in humanity will remain.
Your first mistake was ever going on Twitter. Like that was your first mistake. That is where the human cesspool can be. But no, it's. I will say this is another series that's been entertaining has been Dallas, Colorado. I mean,
Yes.
Landeskog coming back and him scoring a goal. I didn't think, and I will fully, because I said this in a review. I didn't think like when they went to Colorado to play with Landeskog's first game, I didn't think they'd win that game, Dallas. But they pulled it out. I mean, they're up 3-2 in that series, and it's crazy, right? It just shows the super amount of depth that Stars roster has when they can miss Robertson, they can miss pieces, right? Miro on the back end, and they're still like just one of the best teams in the West. They're very. It's such a good lineup, and I think Colorado. I mean, Blackwood's been very good for them for the most part. I think Colorado can still have a chance in this series, but I would say this would be up here. I'd have to really think about it, but this would be up here like for my top 2 series in the first round. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah. Both the Tampa, Florida series and the Dallas, Colorado series. That we've had a couple of people say the same comments. Like if they were in different divisions, those would have been the conference championships.
Oh yeah.
If anybody figures out how the hell to beat Edmonton with no goalie, Jesus Christ.
Hey, listen, hats off to the Oilers. McDavid, Draisaitl, and Evan Bouchard just ripping clap bombs. Like it's worked back there. It doesn't look pretty. It mystifies me. It mystifies me at times, but for some godforsaken reason they win. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Everything Edmonton does in terms of how they've built things is like should be on the poster of this is not how you do it, right? Yeah. You overpay for a few guys and then you just like get really cheap on the goaltender and sketchy on defense. And I mean, what? but it keeps working because the talent level between McDavid and Draisaitl, you just
it's hard to stop them.
It's hard to stop them.
You know what the funny part is? I was talking to my buddy. I actually, I work on the tugboat with him.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about the playoffs. And we watched them when we were at the Anchorage one night, tied up to a barge. And the funniest part is, like, we were watching this game, and we both said, like, what's crazy? If the Oilers just had a goaltender and, like, another defensive piece, and like, maybe just one other forward, like, good secondary forward, right? Dude, they'd be unbeatable. Like, right. They just would be. They'd be unbeatable. And this is why there is a salary cap for a reason. But just think about it. If the Oilers had, like, Bobrovsky or Vasilevsky or, you name it, like a top-tier goaltender, and you just give them another defenseman that doesn't even have to be a world beater, just like a top 4 guy and, like, a second liner, that team would be so difficult to beat. Like, even more so. It's crazy how they win these games despite having a shooter in net of Stuart Skinner. It baffles me.
I know. Like, and that might be as close as they ever got was that game 7. I obviously Panther fan, so I was looking at it from a different perspective. But from their perspective, I can't imagine the frustration of it doesn't matter how you got to game 7, it's game 7.
Yeah.
And it was 2-1 for half the game, and you've got McDavid and Draisaitl and it's like Oilers fans had to have no doubt that they were getting a goal to get it to overtime. We've got McDavid and Draisaitl. This is, I'm sure they were just waiting. It's just like, I can't imagine the shock that, and you saw it on McDavid's face at the end. It was just like, I can't believe we didn't get a goal, just to get it to overtime to get us a chance. Yeah. But then you've watched the last 5 minutes and you watch the highlights, what you're talking about with the goalies, and that's it. Because there's 2 or 3 pucks that I don't know how they didn't go in. Yeah. You know, I mean, some of the saves that was made in those scrambles in front look like AI. It's just like, come on, I can't believe that.
Are you saying the league rigged it in Florida's favor? That's crazy. No,
I wouldn't say that. Oh, that's what Tampa fans were saying before Ekblad got suspended. I guess Jesus there's Christ. Somebody's brother or there's a family connection there with somebody in the Panthers to somebody that's in the NHL player safety department. And they before Ekblad got suspended, they were real.
Yeah, like their cousin 10 times. Their cousin 10 times removed that like moved to 10 different states to get away from police and law enforcement. Like, it's funny. Like, I'll say this: like the whole conspiracy theory stuff is so stupid to me. It's how hard it would be to rig something that massive and nobody actually finding out, and there's like you know how people are. They talk, and they would share documents. Like politicians can't even keep government secrets off like emails and stuff and text messages. Do you really think if like it was rigged, there wouldn't be like hard proven evidence of that being the case? So I don't know. I just I've seen that in multiple sports, and that's just like, guys, like it's not that deep. It's just not. Your team lost. It sucks. I mean, when my team got beat by a certain team from Florida, I mean, I was beside myself. No, that team doesn't exist. I don't say their name. Okay. You don't say the name. But no, it's just I think it's foolish that some people genuinely believe that. I don't know. Just sidebar. But.
No, I get it. Look, I will say this. I've said this in recaps for the football before. It's like there's things that go on with the refereeing in football that give the people that think it's rigged evidence where it's like, you see, there's no way it's not rigged, because there are some calls that go, I mean, there's no denying that like certain quarterbacks will get calls and certain players will get calls.
Like certain quarterbacks with status. And to be fair, right, in the NBA, remember that referee, what was his name, Donahue,
I think it was.
Yeah, he got like caught getting paid to like make a ton of calls. So I mean, there has been like individuals trying to like profit themselves, right? But,
Sure.
I don't know.
I mean, it's like I know TJ Luxmore hates Maurice. It's obvious, right?
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Especially hockey. Even if somebody was going to believe that you could rig football, like. You can't. It'd be impossible to rig hockey unless you had a remote control puck.
Good idea.
That's the only way you could rig hockey, is if you had a remote control puck that you could take computer control over and because, I mean, especially come playoff times. I mean, 90% of the goals are it's greasy. They're greasy goals.
100%. So I have to ask you this, kind of, looking forward here. How would I shit this? Who do you think is going to win each series right now?
So I don't think Toronto's going to choke.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't think they're going to choke. The consequences of them choking are just so great.
The city will go on fire. It will burn.
It will never be the same. On fire. Dangle would quit. All his subscribers would have to come to my channel. It'd be bad.
Actually, let's make that happen, folks. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Right? I mean, the void that would be left. So, no, I don't think Toronto's going to choke. I don't think Winnipeg's going to choke. I think that I picked Dallas. I'm sticking with Dallas. And I'm going to go way out on a completely unsupported tree limb and say the Kings pull it off.
I want that to happen just because I picked them. I mean, but man, they're pissing me off. So, but
Yes,
I
they're
mean,
pissing everybody off.
I think Winnipeg's gonna kind of. I think like you said, I agree. They'll kind of finish it off. Same thing with Toronto. I think they will finish off that series. As for Colorado Dallas, I picked Colorado. I'm hoping they come back in this series, at least 4-7. But I could see Dallas wrapping up in 6. And I kind of just think that the Oilers are gonna win that series against the Kings.
Yeah.
Even though in my heart of hearts, it would have been kind of cool to see the Kings win. And I'm not even a fan of that franchise. But man, it's just they're cursed.
I know it's a shame. They had them. They had them dead to rights, man. And it's I'm not going to say it's smoke and mirrors for Edmonton because it's not. It's not. It's not. It's just when the Patriots were really good, when they were winning, I'd watch them play the Dolphins, and you'd get through the third quarter, and you'd be like, the Patriots ain't really doing anything. They haven't been playing all that well. It's just they're not doing anything spectacular. And it'd be 16-14 New England. And you think, maybe we could do this. And the final score would be 37 to 14. And they would just wake up at the end and just bury their opponent. And it would give the illusion that for the first 3 quarters that the Dolphins were playing with the Patriots. But in reality, the Patriots were just like, what time does the game start? You know? And I get that feeling with Edmonton. It's just like you're just waiting for them to lose, and they just won't unless they're playing that unnamed team from Florida. And I get that, by the way, because until we won the cup, I refused to say the Vegas Golden Knights. I said the team that shall not be named. So I have empathy there, you know, and then but in terms of the rest of the series, it's going to be. We should have at least, if we get lucky, we could have 4 Game 7s, 5 Game 7s.
Yeah,
right?
I actually think because like Winnipeg's 3-2, Dallas 3-2, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We could have 5.
We could have
5 Game 7s.
Yeah, that'd be a busy weekend.
Man, I might have to quit my day job.
I'll send you a picture of my bank statement. That will stop you from quitting your day job. I promise you.
I see you over there. It's hard on the boat because the Wi-Fi is like it's hard for live streaming. It's good for watching videos. So I'll watch your recaps. Yeah. For the live stream, it's like chop, chop, chop. I mean, I see you getting some good views over there. I respect it. We
do okay. We do all right. It's not the end of the world, you know. I'm not saying that. Let's just get to 9,000. Talking about my channel, not this channel. I just want to get to 9,000 subscribers by the end of nine seasons, because less than 1,000 a year could be kind of classified as embarrassing. So we got to get that. We got to get it to 9. We got to get it to 9.
No, I mean, listen. I think you do a great job, man. So
I appreciate that, Kyle. We were running Kyle into the ground. So we did a stream the other night, and it was it was planned going in. We were going to stay up as late as it needed to do to finish all the games. And so we finished our first game, and then when Carolina eliminated New Jersey, Kyle had about this much wine, and for the last 90 minutes of the stream, because we covered the rest of the Western Conference games, he was useless. He was just like, he's just like sitting back. He's supposed to be calling the games, and this is him. Oh, why won't nobody score? I'm tired and I want to go to bed. Come on, somebody finished it. We got overtime again.
That's pretty fun. Dude, you know what made it classic is if you fell asleep. That would've been-
So if any, I don't know which games. I don't know which one to tell people to look at. But there was we were covering a late game last week, and we had already covered a few games. The streams go long,
Yeah.
and there was a couple of times how when you're sitting there, and the eyes close, and your mouth starts to open.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of times when I was like, like that. And one of the times what woke me up was Kyle calling a goal, and I had just dozed off, and Kyle goes, he's like, "There's a goal," and like before he could finish goal, I was like, "Yeah!" And I didn't even know what had fucking happened.
That's really funny. That's the fun thing about like the live watch streams. You just get like real genuine human reaction.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You just asleep, just laying down. Huh? Who scored?
Right. Yeah. Well, especially with the one announcer. I'm not sure who it is. I forget which one it is. But he's so loud, and like even like just a regular, Abramowski gloves the pop. I mean, he's just like, I don't know. It's like one guy that really stands out, and he keeps you on your toes because there's been a couple of times I thought the puck has gone in the net, and it's just this dude is just like so obnoxiously loud over a save that nothing happened. It was just the save. So go ahead.
That I will say, I think some of the announcing's been good for the most part, but yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Is that right?
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I if I was the guy next to him, like doing the play-by-play, I'd have to put earphones
Yeah.
in. Like, dude, what the hell? I can't even hear you screaming in my ear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's been fun, man. I actually on the tugboat, I try to like stay up, and I did record some stuff, and dude, the last couple days on the tugboat, I couldn't do it anymore because we were doing like straight 24-hour shifts. So on my off watch, I'd be editing, and then I'm not getting enough sleep, and I was like, I went to my rack. I was like, oh, let me edit, but let me close my eyes for a bit. I wake up like 10 hours later because we were tied up alongside the dock, and I'm like, yeah, I can't keep editing like 5 different videos in the same night, not getting sleep just so I can get videos out. I'm like, oh my god.
No, it gets rough. I look every once in a while when I'm editing the recap, because game recap, and I do okay with the editing part, but when I'm typing the subtitles, I've fallen asleep while typing the subtitles, and they're not long. It's like 2-2 after 2. Can the Panthers stay out of the box?
Yeah.
And like, I mean, somewhere in between starting to type and finishing those 2 sentences, the Panthers gone, just gone.
It's actually funny. I've because I got home late last night. I actually been up for now because I didn't want to go to sleep. I wouldn't have woke up for this.
Right.
I've been up for 25 straight hours.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna lie. That's why a little bit of brain fog right now. It's like I'm working through it, and sometimes I apologize if I spoken over you a little bit. But I'm like, yeah, I'm like, after this show, like as soon as we get done, I'm going to walk into my bedroom and be unconscious for because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do some editing today. Nah, I'm going to sleep.
You gotta get some sleep. You gotta get some sleep. So, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I think that will do it for the third episode of the Puck Blockers podcast. My name is Fluffy. Jaws is my friend. I've forgotten my real name. People call me my real name. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It's like it just is what it is. This was Sir Captain Paul.
That's right.
And I'll just end the show by saying once again, thank you very kindly for Brad Marchand. I'm sure there will be no hard feelings when he signs with us for half the money that the Bruins were going to pay.
Bullshit. No. Before we go, if you guys don't win 4, I'm quitting this podcast. I'm bullshit. You guys gotta win the next round. We gotta get that first round pick. And if Marchand decides to re-up in Florida, he's going to
stay for half the money that Boston offered him.
Well, because he has no taxes. Like, yeah, congratulations. He probably could stay for cheaper. No, actually, I don't. I'll say this. I actually could see him staying there. I would say that. Like
I don't think we're going to let him leave. Like I just don't think we're going to let him leave. Like we're just
gonna lock him. Like
he's too good with Lundell and Luosterainen. No. He's not stupid. I mean, he could finish on a strong note here if he wanted to, but it's not my money, right? So we'll see. All right, everybody.
But one last thing. If Marchand watches this and he wants to donate at least $1 million to this podcast, feel free. Make sure to reach out to us. All right. So you got no state income tax if you stick down there. Throw $1 million our way. It's all we ask.
That's not too bad. Yeah. No. On that note, make sure you all new viewers hit that subscribe button so we can get this sucker monetized because it's that $3. It's this $3 ad revenue. That's what Paul's counting on, right? This is Paul's 401k right here.
How do you think I'm going to retire, guys? I need it, please subscribe.
Well, once the Leafs lose again, Dangle will leave, and that will wide open a whole brand new audience. So
that's true.
We'll be famous. All right, everybody, go to bed, Paul. I'll see you. Bye.